My name is the Mad Professor. Woo! It feels so good. It feels so good on a Sunday night. It is the end of the month. This is the end of February. February 26, 2023. What's going on? 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 I see you, brothers. I see you. What's going on? Detro 0861. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? We're going to talk tonight, brothers. We're going to talk tonight. We're going to talk tonight. Mr. Marcus, the Navigator, what's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Wrench Turner, what's going on, brother? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? We rapping. We rapping and trapping. We rapping and trapping tonight, y'all. I feel good, man. I feel good. It's been a good Sunday. Man, oh man, oh man. It has been a blast today. I was here earlier this afternoon talking on this channel right here. Y'all see the thumbnail. Y'all see the thumbnail. Y'all see the picture. Men are on strike. Men are on strike. We're going to talk about the new free agents, man. The new free agents, my brothers. The new free agents. What's going on? What's going on, my brothers? That's what it's all about. That's what it's about. That's what it's about, brothers. Brothers. This is a wonderful time to be alive if you're a man. It's particularly wonderful if you are a black man. I'm telling you, it's particularly wonderful. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what nobody says. I know that things are not looking good in terms of the American economy. We've been in a situation where the experts tell us that we are headed towards another recession. But I want to tell you, my brothers, do not allow the doom and gloom. What's going on, bro Carter? What's going on, bro Carter? Do not allow the doom and the gloom to get to you, my brothers. Don't let the doom and gloom to get to you. Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. When you guys watch CNN, when you guys watch MSNBC, that is if you do watch CNN and MSNBC, and to many degrees, when you watch Fox News and everything like that, if you take these people seriously, they will have you believing that the end of the world is right around the corner. They will have you believing that the end of the world is right on the corner. What's going on, Brother Carter? What's going on, Brother Carter, man? We going, that's you're doggone right, my brother. You're doggone right. I did a stream here on my channel. I went over to Dr. Thunder. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. Shout out to Ike Ogamian. Shout out to Ike. Shout out to Dr. T.S. Johnson. Shout out to BGS Idmore. Shout out to the Green Gorilla. We were over on Dr. Thunder's channel, man, talking about Black history, talking about the future of Black history, talking about the politics of the study of Black people. Man, we talked about America. We talked about the existence of Black folks. We talked about Black men. Man, we had a talk. Y'all go over there when you get a chance. As soon as you get a chance, y'all go over and check out that stream with Dr. Thunder and Ike Ogamian. We hosted all of us, man. Some of y'all call us the Avengers. Y'all call us the Avengers. You know what? I claim that title. We are the Avengers. We're the Avengers. We are the Brain Trust. We are the Brain Trust. Shout out to the Black Brain Trust. I don't want to take anything from the Black Brain Trust. I appreciate the Black Brain Trust and what they've been doing and what they've tried to do on YouTube over the last number of years and what have you. But they are not the only brain trust on YouTube. We are the Brain Trust. We break everything down to its very last compound. Shout out to KRS1. That's right. Knowledge reigns supreme over everybody. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Or at least, as KRS said, over nearly everyone. What's going on, Melee? What's going on, Men's Daily Advice and Encouragement Channel, man? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? This is Sunday Night Live, brothers. This is Sunday Night Live, and this is a continuation of communication, conversation, information, articulation, dissection of the so-called, the fake, the fabricated crisis of men. That is exactly what this is, my guys. And this is part two. This is part two because there's so much to talk about. There is so much to break down. There is so much to dissect. There is so much to just put out there so that you brothers can be as enlightened, you can be as informed, you brothers can be advanced and on game in terms of where we are in this thing called the United States of America, my brothers. We're doing it. 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 Bless you, man. Thank you, C.R. Frank. Thank you. 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 Thank you, my brother. That's right, man. Oh my God. Yeah. I didn't talk a lot about my trip in my last stream, but we're gonna do it tonight. We're gonna do it tonight. We're gonna do it tonight. We're gonna make this thing happen. What's going on? 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 Passport Bros, Passport Bros, Passport Bros, we are up. Passport Bros, we are up. SYSBM all day long. SYSBM all day long. Save yourself, Black man. Save yourself, Black man. Y'all sing with me. Save yourself, Black man. Save yourself. Save yourself, save yourself, save yourself. Because Joe Biden is not going to save you. Kamala Harris is not going to save you. I'm going to tell you, Ron DeSantis ain't going to save you. Donald Trump is not going to save you. The Republican Party is not going to save you. The Democratic Party is not going to save you. We engage in politics now. We engage in politics. Trust me, we engage in politics, but we are not blinded by the realities of politics. We are not ignorant about the limitations of politics. That's why our mantra here is save yourself, Black man, because at the end of the day, we have to deal with the interests of Black men, Black male, Black men's independence, Black men's agency, Black men's empowerment, Black men's happiness and peace. That's what time it is. That's exactly what we are doing. We are doing. And yes, oh man, there is so much to talk about. So much. I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm continuing the last stream. Do not uncritically absorb all of the blue pill rhetoric, all of the blue pill so-called analyses, all of the blue pill so-called commentary on men that pervades so much of mainstream media and social media in particular. Okay, do not be uncritical of all that stuff, because much of it comes from a blue pill perspective. It is a blue pill perspective, my guys. Blue pill, a blue pill perspective. And what do I mean by a blue pill perspective? Listen, guys, listen. I talked about this in the last stream and I talked about it again. Professor Scott Galloway. Professor Scott Galloway is a professor of marketing. He teaches marketing at New York University. Okay? He's somewhere in his 50s, maybe moving into his early 60s or whatever, but he's in his 50s. And smart guy. And he, he was on CNN over a year ago because he's written about what he regards as the crisis facing young men in terms of dating, in terms of marriage, in terms of labor participation, that is men in the workforce and what have you. He's really concerned about the future of so-called American civilization. He is concerned about the future of American civilization. Y'all get the likes up. Y'all get the likes up. Y'all share this stream. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And I said this in my stream earlier today. I said this, that if you rewind, it is 2023. It is February the 26th, 2023. If you just rewind the tape and you go all the way back to the year 2010, if you go all the way back to the year 2010, there were people, particularly women, particularly married women, women who are married, women who have children, women who are in the middle class, and I mentioned them. Kay Heimowitz, she writes for City Journal magazine out of New York City. Some might call her a neocon. She's a conservative, but she's a very critical of feminism and what have you. She's written a lot of stuff about men, particularly young men, young white men. You got to get that, young white men. And there's also Hannah Rosen, who wrote a book in that particular time period called The End of Men. She's another woman who is married, has children. She's a professional woman, wrote for the Atlantic Journal. She's a woman. She's a woman. When she wrote her book, she was writing from the perspective of white-collar women, particularly white-collar white women who have husbands as wives. I didn't mention this. I did not mention this, guys, in the last video. So you, what's up, BGS Edmore, man? Good to see you, man. It's good sharing space with you earlier today, man. I'm glad that you're here, man. Thank you. Shout out to the OG, man. The OG who helped shape this space, man. We appreciate everything that you do, my brother. You appreciate it. Did y'all see? Y'all saw it. Y'all saw the image of Rihanna. Y'all saw the image of Rihanna and ASAP Rocky. Y'all saw it. Everybody's been talking about that image. Vogue magazine, and Rihanna is out there. They on the beach, and she's walking in front of ASAP, and ASAP has the baby and all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you something. That's the kind of model. That is the model that Hannah Rosen, who wrote for the Atlantic at that particular time, that's the kind of model that she was promoting. Because her thing was basically that men were lagging behind women and that men needed to change their ideas about masculinity. And if you read her book, The End of Men, when you read her book, The End of Men, what you discover is a woman who is pushing the idea of men as wives. Men as wives. That is that you have a woman who assumes the male role. She becomes the breadwinner. She becomes the leader of the household and the family, and the man in the house, the man who she's married to, he becomes the wife. So he is the wife and she is the husband. He is the wife and she is the husband. And she was saying that this is a reality that men are going to have to adapt to. This is a reality that they're going to have to evolve into. That's what Hannah Rosen that's what Hannah Rosen was saying back in 2010 and 2011. That is the model that she was pushing in her book called The End of Men. She was pushing the husband wife. And I don't have to tell you guys, this is the black female's ideology. This is the black females, and the black female have been pushing this ideology way before Hannah Rosen, way before white women pushed it. Way before black women have been pushing black men as wives since my God, I'm glad BGS is here, man. I might drop your link later on if you guys want to come on. We can have a good old session talking about all this kind of stuff. Black women want you to be wives. They want y'all to be wives. They want you to be in that ASAP Rocky position. You take care of the babies, you do the cooking, you do the cleaning, you do all the domestic labor and all that kind of stuff while she's out there being the breadwinner, she's out there being the provider, she's out there being the leader. The leader. And the black female intellectuals, they will call it matrifocality. That's what the black female intellectuals call it. They call it matrifocality. We have a matrifocal community, a community that is led, or community of households led primarily by women. And the males in the household play a subordinate role in relationship to these women. They are supporting actors. They are not the star. Here's the thing, and you're right, BGS. The richer sex, that's what it is. The richer sex, absolutely. That's it. That is it. That is it. You are not the star of the movie. You are not the star of the movie. She is the star of the movie. When it comes down to the Academy Awards and all that kind of stuff, and when the person who was nominated, okay, for Best Actor, she is the one who is nominated for Best Actor in the movie. And if you get nominated, you're going to be nominated for a supporting role, And they want you to have this supporting role. And this is the reason why Black American women had such a hard time with Kevin Samuels. A lot of Black women. This is the main reason why they had it. So these women have an ideology that says basically that she is the one who is in charge. She is going to be the boss. She is going to be the leader. You have to get on her program. You get on her program. Her program. That's who you get on. You get on her program. She sets all of the rules. She makes all of the major decisions. She calls all of the shots. And your job and your role is to support her in her leadership, in her bossiness. Y'all get the likes up, man. Y'all get the likes up. Y'all get the likes up. Y'all get the likes up. That's it, guys. That's it. You are a subordinate. You are an inferior to her. She is better than you. She is smarter than you. She knows more. She's infallible. She's never wrong. Her decisions are always right. She is the general. She runs everything. She leads the army. And you are the one who carries the water. You carry the water. That's your role. You carry the water. But guys, life is not fiction. Life is not fiction. Life is not fiction because it is a fiction. Now, we have to be honest, guys. We have to be honest. We have to be honest. We have to be honest. There are lots of men, black men in particular, who sign up for the wife role. There are lots of men who are wives. They're wives. There are lots of black men who are wives to black women. She is the husband, he is the wife. When they're out in public, she is the one who is out front, he is the one who is behind. How many of you guys have ever been out? And I'm talking about your real live experience. How many of you guys have ever just watched black people? How many of you guys have ever been out and you watch black couples? Have you ever been out? Ever been out? I go out, I go out and I see things and I observe people. I'm a people watcher. That's just the intellectual, the scholar in me, the ethnographer, everything, the man on the street, whatever you want to call it. I just look at people. How many of you guys have watched black couples? A black woman, it doesn't matter. Well, I'm put it like this. I've seen a lot, I see a lot of this with black couples that are like under the age of 35. I see this a lot. I see this a lot. You see a black man, you see a black woman, and you might see some children. The black female is always out front. She is always out front, and right behind her is the black male, and right next to him or behind him are the children. How many of you guys have seen that in real life? I've seen it. I've seen it. As recently as Friday in my own neighborhood, I see it. They're walking down the street. She's out front. He's in back. He's behind her. She leads him. She leads him. He does not lead her. That's what I have seen among black people. That's what I've seen. And that's what I continue to see among black people. So there are black men who have signed up for this role. Black men have, unfortunately, not all black men, but a lot of black men have been conditioned to be wives, to be husband wives. And their mamas socialized them for this position. Their mamas are the ones who prepared them for this position because the mamas made sure that there were no male authorities around their sons. They made sure that there was no male leadership. They made sure that their sons were only surrounded by other women, older women, younger women, it doesn't matter, just surrounded by all of them. And these black men who were once black boys, who were once black male youth, that's all they saw were women leading men. And these men have been programmed into thinking that this is the natural order. This is how things are supposed to be. Man, I tell you, man, I tell you, man, I tell you. So we have a group of black men who are like that. We have a group of black men who are like that. But not every black man is like that. Not every black boy is like that. Not every black male youth is like that. Not every black male, boy, or youth, a young adult man is going to naturally conform to the wife role. He is not going to naturally conform to a role of subservience in relationship to the woman that he is involved with. He's not going to naturally conform. And the reason why he's not going to naturally conform, because there is this thing called raw natural masculinity. There is raw natural masculinity that is rooted in biology. It is rooted in testosterone. It is rooted in aggression. It is rooted in evolution. And this is why you can have Black boys and you can have Black male youths who grow up in a gynocentric household, and at some point in their own growth process, their own development, and what have you, they buck against the gynocracy. They buck against it. They buck against it. They buck against it. You have Black boys, and we see it right now at a very extreme level. The Black boys, they buck against their mothers. Black boys. I saw this in the 90s. I saw this in the 80s. They buck against their mothers who were raising them without male figures, male authority, male guidance, male leadership. Something in them which is natural, which is raw, it comes out at a certain time where their mother's effort to get them to conform to her dictates and her imperatives, her morality, her sense of dominance begins to fall apart. It begins to fall apart, and she can no longer control him. He is 16 years old right now. And at one time, she was able to take off a belt. At one time, she was able to take off her shoes. At one time, she was able to pick up an inanimate object and hit him with those things in an effort to get him to conform to her imperatives and her dictates. But now he is 16 years old. Hell, he might be 15 years old. Hell, he might be 14 years old. But now he is a teenager and he is rebelling against his mother. He's rebelling. He is an outright rebellion against his mother. His mother does not know what to do because she can no longer control him. So what does she do? What is the story? What is the narrative that we get? She seeks to find some external source of masculine authority. She tries to outsource. Y'all better get this, man. Man, y'all better get this. Y'all know this already. You guys know this naturally because some of y'all are rebels. A lot of you Black men who follow this channel and other channels who are part of this spear, who are part of this masculine spear, that's you. I'm talking about you. You grew up in that gynocentric household. Your biology kicked in at a certain point as you grew up and you began to rebel against that gynocentric household. That's what you did. And the mother, what she does is she realizes that she can't handle this masculinity all alone. So she tries to outsource male authority. So let me bring in my uncle, let me bring in my older brother, let me bring in a coach, let me find a mentor, let me find somebody who is not biologically, let me find a man who is not biologically related to me to come in here and mentor this young Black male because I have absolutely no control over his behaviors and actions. None. Thank you, Big Kev. Thank you, Big Kev. Thank you, Big Kev. Thank you, Big Kev. Brothers, I cannot tell you, I'm 49 years old. 49 years old. And I'm happy to be an old soul. I'm happy to be old school. I'm an old head. Y'all can call me Uncle Ron. You younger guys, that is. Everybody else can call me the math professor. The math professor. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I can tell you in my own adult life, the number of women who have tried to recruit me. And I tried it to a certain level. I've done it before. I did it when I was much younger. Who recruited me to intervene, to do something with respect to the sons that they no longer had any control over. Please talk to my son. Please talk to my sons. Please, 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 please talk to my sons. She would not go back to that biological father. The last thing that she would do, she would not go back to that biological father and attempt to bring that biological father back into that young man's life. The damage had already been done. The damage had already been done. She could not go back. So she relied on the basketball coach. She relied on the football coach. She relied on the track coach. She relied on the boys and the girls club. The boys and the girls club, or the boys club, not the girls club, but the boys club. She relied on the boys club. To bring her son into a place of conformity with respect to what she understands is a natural order. Sometimes it helped. A lot of times it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So here we are, guys. Here we go. And again, I'm 49 years old, and I remember this. I remember this in my 20s. I got a lot of this stuff in my 20s, especially when I was in churches. I got this when I was in my 20s. And even in my 30s, when I got in my 30s, I had black female social workers. Let me tell you something, guys. Let me tell you something, guys. I had black female, so when I was in my 30s, I had black female social workers. Some of these female social workers were former students of mine. And they tried to recruit me into mentor programs. They tried to recruit me into mentor programs for, these young males, boys, young men who were in crisis. And I declined. I did not want to participate. And the reason why I didn't participate is because I had already done that. I had done that in my 30s. And when I did it in my 30s, I realized, let me tell you something, guys. When I was in my 20s and I did the mentor stuff, when I did the mentor stuff, one of the things that I realized is that in order for a mentorship to be really, really effective, you have to have a long-term commitment. You have to have a long-term commitment. You just can't be a part of somebody's situation for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. You have to have a long-term commitment towards intervention, because that's how deep the issue was. These young men were so alienated from male authority, so disconnected from disciplined, organized, rational masculinity that you just couldn't go in there for a short period of time and think that you're going to be effective. You just can't. You just can't, guys. You just can't. So by the time I hit my 30s, I was like, I'm not doing this because this model didn't work. You chose to raise this young man without a father. For whatever reason, you alienated this young man from his biological father. For whatever reason, this biological father who you had this son with is disconnected from his own progeny, disconnected. And now you want other men to come in and work things out. And what happens is that these same young men, these boys and these male youth who grow up with this raw masculinity, when they become adults, they become the sources of female grievances. They become the sources. I'm going to say this again. When these young men and these boys become young adults, that is, when they turn 18, when they enter into their 20s, particularly the early 20s, 18, 19, 21, they become the sources of female grievances. Not only do they become the sources of female grievances, but they become the sources of blue pill grievances. They become the sources of blue pill grievances. That is, blue pill men, men who are married, men who have children, men who have played by the traditional rules of masculinity and set up households and families and stuff like that. They become the sources of their grievances because these young men are seen as wayward men. These young men are seen as problems. And the reason why they're seen as problems is because these young men, many, not all of them, they refuse to adhere to a traditional script of manhood. They refuse to adhere to a traditional blueprint, model, and paradigm of what it means to be a man. They don't want to get married. They don't want to create households with children and their wives. They don't want to become these proverbial paragons of traditional masculinity. And then what happens, guys, what happens is that some of these young men, before they reach the age, of 25, they've already produced kids. So he has a baby when he's 16. He has a baby he might have a baby at 17. He might have a baby at 19. He might have a baby at 20. From one female, maybe two females, maybe three females or whatever. But let's just say this. By the time he is 25 years old, and we've seen this over and over again, this is an unmarried guy with kids who doesn't have any real direction in his life. He might be employed, he might not be employed, he might be marginally employed or what have you. And this is what happened in Generation X, my generation, Generation X. And this is what has happened among the millennials and the Z's, some of the Z's. You can see it happening amongst them. But there is a group of young men. There is a group of young men right now who were raised in these conditions. And social scientists are going to have to spend a lot of time unpacking all of the forces that shape them. There are young men who have grown up in these conditions, single parent homes, mother driven homes. They're Black, they're Latino, white, otherwise. But this is a Black man space right here, so we're talking about Black men. You got these young men who've grown up under gynocentric conditions. They have a spirit of rebellion in them. They do not conform to the gynocracy. They are driven by the impulses that have always been a part of raw masculinity. And they have decided, based on what they have seen, based on what they have learned from other generations, to not get caught up in many of the traps that befell men who came before them. They are not getting married. They are not having kids. They are not engaging in society in the way that men did in previous generations. They are doing their own thing. They are not playing the dating game as men in previous generations did. They are not chasing poom poom and punani the way in which previous generations did. They are not burdened by a demand as previous generations were to breed, to marry, to form households, and everything else that comes with that. They are not burdened with the demand to be a workhorse, to be a mule, to get a job, get married, have kids, buy a house with a 30-year mortgage. Peace to you, brothers. Peace out. Peace to all you guys. I am the mad professor in the house. This is part two. This is part two. This is part two. Y'all see this book right here? This is part of the thumbnail. This is part of the thumbnail. We're doing it. That's right. Muhammad the Magnificent. Love, principle, morals, and values were instilled with growing up doing our area. Absolutely right, my brother. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Peace to you, Vegas Dev. The stepdaddy era is ending. The stepdaddy era is absolutely ending. Y'all see this book right here? This is the book. This is where I get my thumbnail from right here. This book right here. This book, some of you guys are aware of this book right here. This book was published in 2013. 2013. You see this written by a white woman. Y'all see that? This book was written by a white woman. Her name is Helen Smith. Helen Smith. Helen Smith. Men on strike. Men on strike. Men on strike. Look at the subtitle. Why men are boycotting marriage, fatherhood, and the American dream. Why men are boycotting, why men are boycotting marriage, fatherhood, and the American dream. They have checked out. They have checked out. Young men have checked out. Remember, I did my video. Some of you guys who are on my channel, y'all know, y'all share, y'all like and subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe to stream. These guys have checked out. I was in the Gambia. Shout out to the passport bros. Shout out to the passport bros. Everything here is in line with passport bro travel ideology. I was in the Gambia. I was on the beach. I was on Kololi Beach in the Gambia. And this was in my second week in the Gambia. And I was in a state of euphoria. Let me tell you something, guys. Peace to you, my brother. Peace to you, my brother. I was in a state of euphoria in the Gambia. And I had my video camera. I'm going to show y'all my video cam. This is my little camcorder right here. This is my little, it ain't sophisticated. This is all I need. This is all I need to make my little videos. It ain't sophisticated. Y'all know I'm a minimalist. I'm a minimalist, guys. And this is a part. Minimalism is a part of the new free agents. The new free agents now. The stream is called The New Free Agents, Part 2, So-Called Single and Lonely Men. This minimalism. I did my videos on this thing right here. I did my videos. I've had this thing for 2 years. 2 years. I'm going to get a new one soon. But let me tell you, brothers, I was in a state of euphoria. I was on Kololi Beach. After a week being in Gambia. And it was so wonderful being back in Africa. It was so wonderful. So wonderful, man. And I got friends in Gambia. I got female friends in Gambia. Y'all saw my video with my female friends in Gambia. I got women friends in Gambia, bro. And Gambia was good to me while I was there. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved the culture. I loved the hospitality. I loved the food. I loved the entertainment. I loved the interactions with the people. I love it. I love it. It ain't paradise now. It ain't utopia. It ain't utopia. But I'm going to tell you this. It is not the United States of America. It is not the United States of America. This was my third trip. I was on my third trip to Africa, my third trip to the motherland. I went to Africa for the first time back in June. In the back of June of 2022, I went there. I was there for 2.5 weeks. I was in Senegal. I was in Dakar. And those 2 weeks were powerful. Those 2.5 weeks were powerful in Dakar. And I initially went there. I went there the first week. I was with a group of professors. I was with a group of professors just like me for a seminar for the first week. And then after that first week was over, everything was just for me. And I spent the rest of my time by myself in the car. And that extra week and a half I had in the car, it was just mind-blowing. And I came back to America and I was just hyped and I was amped. As a matter of fact, I didn't even want, let me back up. I did not want to leave the car. I did not want to leave. The day that I was scheduled to fly out, it was a Monday. The Monday, I was scheduled to fly out Monday night at 10 p.m. On that Monday morning, I was like, I am not ready to leave. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I didn't want to leave the car. I did not want to leave Senegal. I can't tell you every detail of my trip when I was in Dakar, Senegal, during my first trip. I can't tell you every detail, brother, but I'm going to tell you black men. Let me tell you something. This passport bro thing, this thing is real, brothers. This thing is real. I was in a completely different world, completely different universe, different hospitality. This is a French-speaking country. I'm not a native French speaker. I got basic French. Pew. Pew is pew. Pew means little. Pew. Pew français. Pew français. Je vais pew français. Je vais pew français. I pew français. Little French. Man, but the spirit was so deep. I didn't want to leave. I did not want to leave the day I was scheduled to leave. And I thought hard and twice and 3 times about rescheduling my departure to extend my trip for another week so I would be there for 3 weeks. But I went ahead and I left and I came back to the United States of America. I went ahead, left, and I came back. Thank you, Muhaji. Thank you for that cash app, my brother. Thank you for that cash app. I appreciate you, my brother. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you, man. Un peu français. That's right. Samar 66. And you know what I did? I came back to the US and I had to get my bearings back. It took maybe a week or so to get my bearings back. And as soon as I got my bearings back, I didn't want to be back in the US, man. It was hard. I did a video. I was like, man, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And I'm gonna tell you what I did. I went and I booked me another trip to Senegal, and I booked me a trip for the month of September and early October, and I went to Senegal again to Dakar for an entire month and a week. And I spent there. I went there on my birthday. I landed in Africa on my birthday. I landed. I left my birthday on the 6th of September. I flew out on the 5th, and I woke up Monday morning, 6th of September, in Dakar, in Africa. And I stayed there over a month. And while I was there, I took a trip over to Gambia, which is right within Dakar, which is right inside of Senegal. That's what I did. And I spent 6 days in Gambia while I was there. I spent 6 days in Gambia. I loved it. Gambia was wonderful. As soon as I got into Gambia, it was on, it was popping, there was energy, there was love, everything. I enjoyed it. I did not have enough time to see Gambia the way I wanted to see it. So I said, you know what? I need to make some time to come back to Gambia so I can see more of this country. And so I decided to book this trip for January, end of January, going into February and what have you. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do Gambia and I'm going to do Dakar. So I'm going to spend 2 weeks in Gambia, and then I'm going to spend a week in Dakar. And that's what I did. And I'm going to tell you something, brothers. It was mind blowing. And that's why I did my video on the beach, because it was it forced me. It forced me to go into a different realm. And I did this video, and the title of the video is, I have completely checked out. I have completely checked out. Africa changed my consciousness. It changed a lot of stuff. I'm going back to Africa, guys. This passport bro stuff, this travel stuff it's addictive, because the content, it's the environment. It's a complete different environment. I have completely checked out. And what do I mean? And when I said I checked out, what I meant that I don't care. I don't care about none of this gynocratic stuff anymore. I don't care about it. I am indifferent to the gynocracy. I am indifferent to feminism. I am different to this condition called the United States of America. I am not going to lose any sleep over the U.S. I'm not going to lose any sleep over the stuff that we express deep grievances about. Black man, it is important for you to be happy. It is important for you to be happy. So here's the deal. When you become a passport bro, it can push you to that place where you just completely check out. But you don't have to become a passport bro to completely check out. All you need are the right conditions. All you need are the right conditions. All you need are the right conditions in order to check out. What's this book all about? So this book came out in 2013. This book came out in 2013. And this woman is dealing with the so-called, what the people now, the blue pill people are calling the so-called crisis of single and lonely men. She put this book out in 2013, and basically what she said is that men are no longer playing the game. She's a psychologist. Helen Smith is a psychologist, okay? And she wrote this book after talking to dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of men. And she is also a libertarian. And she talked about why men are no longer there. You have a significant population of men. You have a significant population of men who are no longer committed to the old order, the old contract. They are no longer committed to the old order of marriage. They are no longer committed to the old order of having children. They are no longer committed to the old order of doing everything to prove to society, to prove to their families, to prove to women, to prove to other men that they are men. They are no longer obsessed with proving their manhood by getting married, having kids, buying a house with a 30-year mortgage, and becoming a workhorse, becoming a mule in service of the interests of their families, communities, and the larger society. They no longer have this interest. They are now on strike. The reason why they no longer have this interest is because it no longer benefits them. It no longer benefits them. There are very, very few awards that are attached to men who engage in this old script, this whole paradigm of what it means to be a man. Raymond Stewart, thank you for that Cash App, Raymond Stewart. I just got your Cash App, Raymond Stewart. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that Cash App, my brother. They're no longer playing the game. Now, that book came out in 2013, which means that you had a generation of boys who were at that particular time, let's say if they were born in the year 2000, they were 13 years old. 13 years old. When she wrote that book, she was talking to she was talking to men who were in their 20s. She was talking to men in their 30s. She was talking to men in their 40s. When she published that book in 2013, she was talking to men who were already adults. But there was another generation of men who were coming behind these men. So there were guys, young teenage boys, early teenage boys, when this book was published, there were young teenage boys who were the age of 12 and 13. They were 12 and 13 when this book was published. Now those boys are 23. Now those boys are 22. They are in their early 20s. And these young men are not playing the game. They're not playing the game. Autobot Jasmine, Autobot Jasmine. I was in middle school. Look at that. See that? Look at that. Autobot Jasmine says that he was in middle school in 2013. You can't take the incentive away. Here's the thing. You can't, this book was published in 2013. You cannot deter men from marriage and family and social participation who are in their 20s, in their 30s, and in their 40s and above. You can't do that without that trickling down to younger generations. You can't do that. So the guys who are 21, 22, 23, 24, who don't have any kids, who are not chasing after marriage, who have no interest in proving that they're men through marriage and family, okay? These are the guys who are coming along right now. And these are the guys who the blue pillars are really concerned about. They're really concerned about them. So these are the guys. These 24, he's 24. You young, man. You see, look at that. You see, 24. My brother is 24 years old right now. 24. And I'm gonna say this: if you're 24, my brother, 24, you're not married, you don't have any kids, you don't have any debt, you're not married, you don't have any kids, you don't have any debt. Do not listen to these people who say that you are in a state of crisis. This is a fabrication. I said this in my last video. I'm going to say it again. This is a made-up crisis. These people who are saying that the 20-year-olds, 20-year-old males who are single, who are not trying to get married, who are not trying to have babies, let me say this, you're wearing your condoms. If you do have sex and you're wearing your condoms and you're pursuing your own interests, you're doing the stuff that you want to do. You're not trying to prove your worth or value as a human being to anybody else. Do not allow these people to say that you are deviant, that you are deviant, that you are not engaged in the traditional rituals of manhood. Therefore, something is wrong with you. I'm going to say this to you guys, these young guys out here. If you are 20, if you are 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, up to the year 25, and you are not burdened down with the old script, you don't care about proving yourself to women, because here's the thing. There were no rewards. See, here's the thing about the old script. The old script of manhood was of such where there were rewards. There were rewards that came with proving your masculinity through marriage, through having babies, buying a house, and being a workhorse. There were benefits. Because society rewarded that. Institutions once rewarded that. There was once an economy that rewarded that for a large number of men. But there are no longer any rewards for that. I said this before, the dating market is trash. The options that you have to deal with right now are diminished. They're not optimal. The young women who are out here, they're in their 20s. These young women, these Meg Thee Stallion acolytes, I'm going to say this, they are the disciples of Meg Thee Stallion. These young women are the disciples of Meg Thee Stallion. They don't take you seriously. You are a joke to them. They simply want to use you. They don't care about you in terms of your longevity or your long-term commitment. All they want is entertainment and attention, and they will waste your time. And if you get them pregnant, if you put babies in them, your life will be affected by that in an adverse way. You put a baby in these women, you are going to find yourself in a bind. You are now caught up in the matrix, because once you put a baby in a woman owns you. Let me say this again. Let me say this for the people in the back. Y'all share, y'all like, and subscribe. When you're in your 20s, whether you are married or not, once you put a baby in a woman, that woman owns you. Whether you are married or not, she owns you. And the state, why does she own you? The state has given her ownership over your life. Whether you are married or not, and you are in your 20s and you put a baby in her belly, she owns you. Your life is no longer yours. Your life belongs to her, and by extension, it belongs to the state. And the state will extract resources from you. It will extract. It would treat you unfairly. It would treat you unjustly. And it will make you regret, in some respects, not all respects, because you have a child. A child is a part of you. A child is a part of who you are as a human being. It's your biology. So you're not going to hate your child. You're not going to have a negative orientation towards your child, because the child is a part of you. It's a natural part of life. But the penalties that come, or the consequences that are imposed upon you, impact you in a very, very negative way. But let's get to it. Let me say this. There's no crisis. Stop these blue pill people. The blue pill people want you to get back on the plantation of marriage, baby making, home ownership, and being a drone for society, conforming and all that kind of stuff. People like Scott Galloway, and to a lesser degree, Richard Weaves, and Richard Weaves is not like Scott Galloway, but to a lesser degree, you have guys like this. This is a book on boys and men. To a lesser degree, these guys are fundamentally concerned about the future of women. They're basically concerned. Scott Galloway more. They want you to save women from their singleness. You're supposed to go out here and save them, and save the kids and all that kind of stuff. That's the underlying concern that these individuals have. But the women are in rebellion. The women are rebellion because the women do not want to adhere to the old school contract. They don't want to adhere to it. They don't want to engage in a fair exchange. They want to engage in a situation where they have the upper hand, where they have the dominant role, where they make all the rules. They want you to be, they want to be free themselves. They want to be able to be free to do. They want to be free agents. The women want to be free agents while at the same time holding you to an old contract. Let me say this again. The women want to be free agents while at the same time holding you to an old contract, holding you to an old blueprint or script of traditional manhood. Now, what I want to say to you young guys, this is not a crisis. You are free. You are the new free agents. You no longer have the burden of the old script of traditional manhood. It is no longer there. They're saying that something is wrong with you because you are not working the way previous generations of men worked. They're saying that something is wrong with you because you're not a part of old associations, churches, uh, you're not a part of regular social life that once was very, 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 very important to communities and manhood and stuff like that, all that kind of stuff. They want to say that something is wrong with you because you are pursuing your own self-interest. That's what they say. Something is wrong with you because you are doing the things that you want to do. So here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. When you're in your 20s, no wife, no kids, and no debt. When you're in your 20s, no wife, no kids, no debt. You're a free man. You're free. And I'm going to tell you this, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Canada. 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 I hope I said it right. Thank you for that, Canada. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. I'm going to tell you, do you know why you're free? Do you know why you're free, guys? I'm going to tell you, do you know why you're free? Because you have an asset. You have a commodity. You have a commodity that you can't put a price on. You have a commodity. Let me tell you something, guys. I want y'all to get this. You have a commodity when you're 20 years old, when you're 21 years old, when you're 18 years old, when you're 19 years old, when you're 22 years old, even if you're 25 years old, no debt, no kids, no wife. You have a commodity that you cannot put a definite price tag on. You can't put a definite price tag on it. You can't put it, in other words, you can't put a certain dollar amount on it because this commodity is it's a prosperous commodity. It is so filled with possibility. It is so filled with possibilities. And do you know what that commodity is that you have? Do you know what that commodity, you know what the commodity to me, the commodity that you have? Look at this. It's called time. It's called time. I want y'all to hear this. You have the commodity of time. When you are 20 years old and you don't have any kids, you don't have a wife, you don't have a mortgage, you're not in college, you don't have a bunch of student loan debt, the commodity that you have that you can't put an exact number on in terms of price is time. Time, 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 time. You can't put a price on time, brothers. What do I mean by that, guys? What can you do between 20 and 30? Listen to me. What can, without a wife, without kids, without debt, what can you do? What can you accomplish? What can you become between the age of 20 and 30? What can you become in a 10-year period? What can you do in a 10-year period? You know, Kevin Samuels, Mr. High Value Man, God bless his memory. He's no longer with us. He talked about this thing and he was right. He wasn't right, not because he talked about it. He was right because this is a reality. This is a principle. When you're young, you have time. You have time to build. You have time to develop yourself. You have time to engage in trial and error. You have time to figure things out. You have time to work on problems. You have time to do, you have time. Time, 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 time. You have time to figure out where you want to be when you're 30, where you want to be when you're 40. Brothers, you got time. Y'all share, y'all like, and subscribe. Y'all share, you like, and subscribe. These are the new free agents. These are the new free agents. Everything that you do in your 20s, guys, and here's the thing, everything that you do in your 20s is going to affect what happens to you for the rest of your life. What you devote yourself to in your 20s in terms of time is going to carry over into your 30s, it's going to carry over into your 40s. It's going to determine the quality of your life. It's going to determine the quality of your life in later life. Let me tell you something, guys. I had no clue, and I planned. I had no clue that I was building a foundation. I mean, I had some clue now. When I was in my 20s, I have no kids. I have no kids. Here's the thing about it, guys. I have no kids. I don't have a wife. I was deliberate about that. I was in school. I was trying to get education. I took out student loans. I got in debt now. I took out student loans when I was in college, when I was in graduate school, and I worked. I did those things. But I did those things with a purpose. I went to school, I took out student loans, I worked, and I did that with a purpose. I put my head down, and I did all that stuff in my 20s with the hopes now, with the hopes. There are no ultimate guarantees in life, with the hopes that it will positively impact me in my 30s and later on in life. I could not quantify. I could not quantify, nor could I put a price on what I was doing with my 20s. I couldn't put a price on it, guys. All I know is that I used my singleness. I used the fact that I didn't have any kids. I used those things to my advantage when I was in my 20s. And I'm going to be very honest with you guys. When I was 25 years old, I thought a lot about marriage. I thought a lot about marriage at the age of 25. At the age of 25, I thought a lot about marriage. When I was 25 years old, something happened to me where I believed that it was time for me to really focus in on marriage and everything like that. And I even talked to my minister. I talked to my pastor in that era, in that moment about it. I was still in school. I'm the mad professor. I got a PhD. I was in the PhD program. And my pastor told me, this old black man, old school black man. I had an old school black man, old school Southern black man from Georgia, Reverend Arthur Jackson Jr., old school black Baptist preacher. He had four kids, four kids. Reverend Jackson, old school black man from Georgia, four school. He was a patriarch. Yes, he was a patriarch. He ran his church, he ran his family, he was a leader among Baptists in the state of Florida. Big leader, prominent man. And he knew what I was doing with my life. And he said, Ron, if you get married right now, he said this, he said, if you get married right now, it's going to, it'll probably derail your education. You knew I was working on that PhD. It might derail your education if you get married right now. And I had to agree with him. I had to think about it. I had to agree with him. But then I looked around. I looked around. Here's the other part of it, guys. Here's the other part of it. Rick Scopio, what's going on, my brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Some of us, we got the same story, man. That's right. We got the same story. I was 25 years old. I was living in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm looking all around me in Nashville at that particular time. And I'm going to tell you this, guys, the dating game in Nashville at that particular time was not radically different from what we're dealing with right now. The only difference was we didn't have social media. Didn't have social media. Didn't have social media. Didn't have the internet the way it is right now. I come from the old school where you had to approach women, you had to talk to them, you had to interact with them, and you know have a personality and all that kind of stuff and social skills. That's the era I came out of. Everything was personal, it wasn't impersonal. Everything was face to face. And Nashville, Tennessee has a lot of professionals in Nashville, and I was mainly chasing out the professional women. Now I dealt with a lot of non-professionals. Let me tell you guys. What's going on, Cyrus, man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you, Cyrus Rogers, man. Good to see you, man. Thank you for that. Thank you, 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 man. Thank you. Let me tell you something. So you have Meharry Medical College in Nashville. You had Vanderbilt University in Nashville. You had Tennessee State University in Nashville. You had Fisk University in Nashville. Nashville had a very thriving black middle class. I wanted me a professional black woman. And I thought maybe I can find me a professional black woman in this city. And I'm going to tell you, man, we come from let me just put out here, the strong, independent female stuff was strong at that time too. The strong, independent, I don't need no man, black men ain't ish, that stuff was strong back then too, okay? When I was 25 years old. And these females were more interested in their careers, women my age who were in school and stuff like that. Now, I was able to score with some people, but in terms of finding somebody who was going to be a marriage, somebody to marry when I was 25, A lot of flaky chicks out there, man. You know, they were in school and they were obsessed with becoming career women. I had to leave them alone. I'm gonna tell you this, brothers. I'm dropping some game right here, man. Thank you, Saray. I'm gonna tell you guys. I had to leave the professional women alone. When I got in Nashville, I had to leave them alone. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was dealing with chicks that worked at Walmart. I started dealing with chicks that worked at Target. I started dealing with chicks. I ain't gonna say I started, but I'm gonna tell you who I was dealing with. Chicks who worked in the grocery stores, the working class, lower income, black females. I was 25 years old. That's what I was dealing with when I was in graduate school. That's how I was dealing with me. I was dealing with Keisha and them. I was dealing with Keisha and them when I was in graduate school. I dealt with Keisha and them. Oh man, that's right, Rick. Well, we had no idea. We had no idea. I thought I would be married. When I was 25, I thought that by the time I turned 40, that I would be married and I had kids. I thought that when I was 25, that by the time I reached the age of 40, that I would be married and I would have kids. And the last thing, when I was 25, this is where the psychology was, that the last thing that you wanted to be was a man 40 and over, a professional black man in particular, who was 40 and over, who was not married, who didn't have any kids. Because back then, even back then in the 90s, that was the idea. If you were a black man and you were professional and you were 40 and over and you were heterosexual and you were not married by the time that you were 40 and you had kids, there was something wrong with you. There was something wrong with you. It wasn't socially acceptable. It was something weird about that. I never contemplated extended bachelorhood. I never imagined extended bachelorhood beyond the age of 35. I never saw it. When I was 25. But that's not how things worked out. And why am I telling this story, guys? I'm telling y'all this story because y'all share, y'all like and subscribe. Y'all thanks for the support. You're right. They're goofy careerists. Goofy. They will waste your time. A lot, not all of them now, not all of them, because I've dealt with a lot of professional women, but the careerists, the ones who put their jobs first and their titles, oh my God, their titles, the ones who put their job titles first, God, you don't want to be, they put their job titles first, okay? And all that career, all that stuff, it's a waste of time. Good to see you, Ab. Good to see you, man. Yeah, all of us, man. We all had that, man. Passport X, man. Yeah, they always wanted to compete. The professional women always wanted to compete. The broke women always said they couldn't understand why I was with them, but people seem to wonder why I never got married. Man, let me tell you something, man. Do you know what I would get with the working class chicks, the lower class chicks? I'm gonna tell you what I got. I was an educated, I had a master's degree. Man, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys, man. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Black man, let me tell you something, man. Keisha is only gone. I got a master's degree. I got a master's degree, and Keisha has only gone up to high school. And Keisha work at Target, or Keisha work at Walmart, or Keisha works at the grocery store. She works at Kroger's. Keisha works at the Waffle House. And I got Keisha in my apartment, and I'm beginning the process of doing what I'm gonna do with Keisha. And I like Keisha because Keisha cool. And Keisha would want to know, because I like the company, and Keisha would always ask the question. Keisha would ask me the question, why me? Why me? I got Keisha from the Waffle House in my apartment, and Keisha from the Waffle House asked me the question. Again, I'm in school working on a PhD, on my way to becoming a professional, and Keisha asked me the question, why me? Why are you dealing with me? Why are you dealing with me? That was Keisha. Now, not every woman in Keisha's tribe would ask that question, but I would get that question sometimes. But the professional ones, they thought they were better. She always thought she was better. She always trying to compete and stuff like that. And it was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna stick with Keisha in the Waffle House. And Keisha in the Waffle House took care of me when I was in graduate school. I'm gonna tell you that straight up. I ain't lying. No shame in my game. When I was in grad school, Keisha at the Waffle House, Keisha at Walmart, Keisha at Target took care of me when I was in school. But what's the point, guys? What's the point? I used that time to build. You got to use that time to build. Young man, use your time to build between 20 and 30. 20 and 30. Use that time to develop yourself. Don't worry about this dating game. And it's a beautiful thing. That's why I said there's no crisis. There's no crisis. God, let me tell you something. So one of the things that we discover now with these new studies, so the studies are saying that women in their 20s are dating more and having more sex than the men in their age group. This is what they're saying. What the studies are saying, what the Hill said, what the Pew report, the Pew Research Survey says, is that the young men are not getting the dates and having the same levels of sex as women in their own cohort. What they're saying is that the women are having sex. But it is clear the women they're not having sex with the young men. The women, and all you got to do is read in between the lines. What this means is that the women, these young women, are having sex with older men. They're having sex with men who are older, who have more resources, men who are established. They're not dealing with the young men because the young men don't meet their material expectations. And this is supposed to be some crisis. This is supposed to be some crisis. In other words, the older guys are having sex with younger women, and they're doing so to such a degree that it's negatively affecting the younger men. The younger men can't compete because the younger men are just starting out and they don't have resources. And the younger men are like, we're not playing this game because this thing is rigged. Now, I'm not the one to treat these reports as absolutely accurate and valid, because I think that there's room for flexibility. I don't think that you have a bunch of young men out here who are just not having sex, who are just complete incels. But I think the point is, and this goes back to Helen Smith right here, is they not doing the same thing that my generation did. They're not wasting. My generation, here's the thing, guys. Y'all share, y'all like, and subscribe. Y'all share and y'all like. Y'all share and y'all like and y'all subscribe. My generation was the last generation to believe in romance. My generation. I don't care what anybody says about hip hop and gangster rap and all that kind of stuff. My generation was the last generation of Black men to believe in romance. My generation was the last generation of Black men to believe in wining and dining a woman. My generation, the last generation, Rick Scopio and all you guys who are my age, y'all can attest to this. We were programmed to wine and dine women. Those of us who were raised to be gentlemen. Now, we don't wine and dine every woman. Of course, you don't wine and dine every woman, because you've always had women in every generation, every era. Let's just be honest, they were not worthy of being wined and dined. You didn't wine and dine every female. Some females, you just, you did what you did with them, but you didn't wine and dine. But the women that we wanted, here's the thing, we were programmed to wine and dine the women that we really wanted. We would go out on dates, we go to the movies, we go to the restaurant, that sort of thing. And when I was much younger, here's my style. When I was much younger, if I really liked a woman, I was willing to at least take her out 3 times without having sex with her. I was willing. I had a 3-date minimum. That was it. 3-date minimum. 3-date. If I really, really liked a woman, I would take her out at least 3 times, hoping that at that last time I would have access. And I take her to a restaurant and, whatever. We go to the movie, spend money. That was my gentleman code. And that was the code of a lot of men. That was the code of a lot of men. A woman that you really, really wanted, yes, you would take her out and you would try to impress her. You would try to impress her. And that there would be a reward at the end. But those days are gone now. Those days are gone, because the guys are no longer playing that game, and the women are not. They're not playing it. They're not playing it fairly. The women are not playing the game fairly. The women don't understand fair exchange. So the guys have checked out. The young women are having sex with older men. That's right. And other women. This is what they don't want to see. Absolutely. Rob Black, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right, my brother. Let me get back to you. Marriage has become servitude. You serve the state and her. She leaves you and her, and the state splits your money. That's it. That is it, my brothers. That is it. But you young guys are ahead of the curve. You are ahead of you're not dealing. Young guys don't have a crisis. It's not a crisis for young men. because you don't have to waste a whole lot of time whining and dining. You don't have to waste a whole lot of time trying to psychologically seduce a woman to give herself fully to you. They've traded it all. Marriage in for exchange for careers and destroyed a thriving crew. Yep, they traded it. The agents, they are absolute agents. My generation, we're the last generation to wine and dine. And these young guys, they're like, we're not whining and dining. And because the young men are not whining and dining, you have blue pill people. Scott Holloway, who teaches at NYU, he is older than me. He's in his 50s. They're concerned. They're scared. You got the incels. The incels, they telling the world that they're not playing the game. Their mothers failed them. Here's the thing. Their mothers failed them. Many of the incels are the products of parental failure, and particularly their mothers. No one wants to say this, but the incels, many of the incels, I'm not going to say this about all the incels, many of the incels are the products of motherly failure, female failure. Their mothers are responsible for the fact that they were alienated from their fathers and male authority, masculine instruction. They never grew up watching how a man healthily and productively interacts with a woman. If you've never seen a man interact with a woman in a healthy and productive way, you don't have skills that you need to do so. And then when you add to the fact that they have been told that their masculinity is a disease and that their masculinity is toxic just based on the fact that they're males, it only adds to their plight. That's the incel dilemma. Their mothers failed them. It's not just an internal problem. Their mothers failed them. Their mothers removed the father from their lives, from the fabric of their lives. Or the mother diminished the role of the father. The mother diminished the authority of the father, which is essentially removing the role of the father. If the father is in the home and the mother diminishes the father, if the mother minimizes the role of the father, that's the same thing as not even having a father. But let's we want to stay on point, guys. There is no crisis. There was no crisis of masculinity, young masculinity. You young guys, look at Austin. Look at Austin Holloman. Look at Austin. Austin, I was looking at his most recent video. This guy is on his way to the Philippines. This guy, he done went from Brazil to Thailand. He's on his way to the Philippines. Austin Holloman is on his way to the Philippines. Austin Holloman is not married. He doesn't have any kids. He doesn't have no student loans. I don't know all the intricacies. I don't know all the intricacies of how he's financing his travel. I don't really care. All I know is that I see a young man in his early 20s who is not burdened down with the old script of manhood, masculinity, who is actually engaging the world. That's what I see. And I encourage that. A young man, he has no attachments. no wife, no kids, no debt. He's out there traveling the world. Do you guys understand how strong this guy is going to be by the time he turns 30 if he stays on this path? Do you understand that? Do you understand how strong he's going to be? Do you know how much of a force he's going to be if he stays on this path once he gets into his 30s? How much of the world that he has seen? I said this before in one of my prior videos, that the best education is a world education. This guy is getting an education that you can't get in a university. There's a level of education that you get from travel that you will never, ever, ever, ever get in a classroom. You will never get it in a classroom. The education that you get from travel, you'll never get it in the classroom. You'll never, ever, ever. You're not going to get it. I don't care how many books you've read, you're not going to get it. Up until the time that I went to Africa, and I've only been to one part of Africa, a small part of Africa, West Africa, Senegal and Gambia, a very small part. Africa is a big country. And I want to see more of Africa. And I plan on seeing more of Africa, the continent. The bulk of my knowledge about Africa came from what I've read. And it also came from me knowing and meeting other Africans from the continent, Ghanaians, Nigerians, Cameroonians, Ethiopians, people from Rwanda, people from South Africa, so on and so forth. But there's nothing like actually stepping foot on the continent. There's nothing like being in real time in a real full-blown African country dealing with culture and people. There's nothing like that. You can't. That's more profound than reading about it. It's more profound. So Austin doesn't fit this crisis, and he's not by himself. These young guys who are out here, guy, you're making money on the internet however you can. You're finding new creative ways to make money and survive. You're saving your money. That's a big thing. Save your money, guy. Oh, I have to say this. Save your money and invest. Use your money wisely. Invest. Don't be reckless. Don't be reckless. You are the new free agent. You are the new free agent, guy. You're the new free agent. Y'all share, y'all like and subscribe. Y'all thank y'all for the support. We have 108 people here. The Cash App is $BMI3000. Cash App $BMI3000. Cash App $BMI3000. I am the Mad Professor. I am the Mad Professor. See, here's the thing. If you are single and you are childless, if you're single and you're childless and you don't have any debt, you ain't got to impress nobody. You don't have to impress anybody. You don't have to impress anybody. You can live a minimalist lifestyle. A minimalist lifestyle. You don't have to buy a house. You don't have to buy a house. I don't own a house. I've lived in apartments for all of my adult life. I've lived in apartments. I can afford a house. Listen, guys, I can buy a house right now. I can buy a house right now if I want to. I don't want to buy a house. I don't want a house. I don't want a mortgage. I don't want a mortgage. That's why I don't buy a house. That's why I haven't bought a house. I don't want a mortgage. I don't want a mortgage. I don't want a 30-year mortgage. I don't want a 20-year mortgage. Shit, I don't want a 10-year mortgage. I can move around. I can shut down where I am right now and move somewhere else, just like that. You can save more money. You can invest more money. Dudes buy houses. I ain't gonna say all men, but here's the thing: women are impressed. Women are impressed by houses. Women are impressed. They're impressed by a man with a house. They're impressed by a man with a mortgage, because it shows them that you have some stability. That's what they're impressed by that. But remember, that comes with a financial responsibility. That comes with debt. And it could be debt that didn't hurt your situation, or it could be debt that you could do without. It's up to you. But a young single man under the age of 30 can afford to live a minimalist lifestyle. He doesn't have to have a 3-bedroom house. He doesn't have to have a 4-bedroom house in an expensive neighborhood. He can have his own cave, cubbyhole, or whatever, 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, whatever. He can have an efficiency. He can have a studio. I used to live in a studio when I was in graduate school. And it never slowed me down. It never slowed me down with the women. It never slowed me down. Let me tell you, you know what I did when I was in graduate school? Because I had studio apartments, just a studio. Y'all know what a studio is. And I bring my girl over there, and I have to tell her, I said, look here, baby. You know what I did? I said, baby, look here. Look here. Look here, baby. This is not the embassy suites. I'm going to tell you this straight up before you come here. This is not the embassy suites. But this is my abode. This is my abode. This is where I lay my head. This is my own space right here. And I'm comfortable right here. And if you got issues with the fact that where I live, my little studio is not the embassy suites, then you need to go ahead and decide what you're gonna do with me. Can Bash, he say child-free black men. That sounds good. Child-free. Child-free. That was it. What you need a big house for? If you buy you a car, do you need you a car? Do you need to buy you a new car with a $300 to $400 car note? That is $300, $400 a month for a car note. Brand new car. And you want to impress a female, to impress a woman. Now I had cars when I was in my 20s, and I had economy cars. I didn't have expensive cars, and my cars were always investments. They were always congruent with my minimalist. My cars were always in line with my minimalist lifestyle. And my cars took care of me when I was in my 20s. I wasn't trying to be fly because I was in school. I wasn't trying to be fly. But you know what happens? You know, some guys, you get a little job and the job pay you well or whatever. You could be 25 years old You want to get out there and buy you a $35,000 truck or whatever, $40,000 vehicle, and now you got you a car note, $400 a month, $450 a month. Some guys pay $500 a month for a car note. I mean, come on, guys, come on, guy. Do you really need that? Do you really need to have a $38,000 or $40,000 vehicle? Do you really need that? Who you trying to impress with that, guy? Who you trying to impress? Is it just for you? Is it about ego or whatever? You don't have to have all that. You don't have to have. You don't have to have all that. Peace out to you guys, sir. Peace out to you guys, sir. You got to know how to. You see these game. I'm gonna leave the game coaches alone. Okay, I'm not a game teacher, but you get the picture. It's all about you. If you're a solid dude and you have a program for development, you take your time, because it takes time for us to develop. It takes time for Black men to develop based on the nature of this country, based on the hostilities that we have to deal with capitalist society. It takes time for us Black men to develop, to get resources, to optimize ourselves. It takes time. So you need patience. You're going to need some patience. And at some point, so I'm going to tell you what happened. So when I was in my 20s, I had me a little economy car. I had me a little economy car when I was in my 20s. And then when I got in my 30s and I was working in my profession, and I was in my profession, I bought my first truck. I bought me a truck. I bought the car I wanted. It wasn't necessarily the car I needed. When I was in my 30s, I bought the car that I wanted. And I wanted me a truck. I said, I am not driving no economy car. I want me a truck. And I got me an SUV. And I still got it. And I'm still driving. It's paid for. 17 years and running. My truck is almost 17 years old, man. It's still running. It ain't letting me go. And I'm still flossing. I still pull them. In my old truck. But you guys get the picture. Young guys, this is the point. You young guys are free agents. Wear your condoms. I need you guys to wear your condoms. Wear your condoms. Don't be skeeting in these females. Do not skeet in these women. I know it's so tempting. It's tempting. It's so tempting. Especially if she's fine and it seems like you can trust her. She's fine and it seems like you can trust her. Trust her to not give you no STDs or anything like that, and trust that you're the only one that she having sex with. And it's tempting. And people do succumb to temptation. But the point is you practice the condoms. You practice that condom, bro. And get y'all some plan B. You young guys. Y'all get some plan Bs. You get some plan Bs for these females. You know, if something happened with the condom game, you get the plan B. And keep you some plan B on hand. The pills. You can buy the plan B, the pills. Okay? And you make sure that she take that plan B before she leave your house. You make sure she take it. And you watch her take that plan B. You watch her take the plan B. You watch her take the plan B. I'm giving you this is what it means to be a free agent. See, you see, I lived this stuff before people talked about it. See, Greg Adams, he had to go through marriage and divorce and all this kind of stuff. And these people are talking about single men, and they're talking about single lonely men. I've been living a single life all of my adult life. I've been living this. I'm an old head, man. I'm 49 years old. What I'm trying to tell you guys is that what they're saying about you, especially you guys who are in your 20s, I've lived it. I've lived it. I've lived it. I've lived it. And a lot of guys have already lived it. 52%, and I'm not one of these guys who's always spitting out this statistic, but you got so many black men who are child free. They're unmarried and child free. We exist. We exist. There are black men of all ages who are unmarried and who don't have kids. We don't think that we're better than anybody. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I told you guys, I thought that by the time I turned 40, I really believed that by the time that I reached the age of 40, that I would have a wife and I would have a family. I would have kids. I really believed that when I was 25 years old. It didn't happen not because I ran from it. It didn't happen because there was no incentive. The women in my generation were off the chain. And I did not want to be one of these men from my generation who went through divorce when they were in their 20s or went through divorce when they were in their 30s and now they're paying child support. Let me tell you something, man. I know black men my age, my generation who've been devastated by divorce, so devastated, those Negroes had to go to therapy. I know black men my age and a little bit younger, they divorced. They were trained to be gentlemen and romantic, and marriage didn't pan out. They had children, daughters and sons, and marriage didn't happen the way that they thought it was supposed to happen. Their lives were devastated. Those guys had to go to therapy. I didn't grow up in a marriage household. I didn't grow up in a marriage. That's the one thing you all know about me. I did not grow up in a marriage household. I did not grow up in a two-parent household. I didn't. I didn't grow up in a two-parent household. But I tell you this, I made a commitment at a certain point in my life that I would never reproduce a single-parent household. I said I would never reproduce it. I never wanted to reproduce a single-parent household. I said, if I'm going to have kids, I'm going to have kids through marriage. I'm going to get married first, then have kids. That was always the plan, not the other way around, because I know what it was like to live in a single parent household. I would never, ever, ever wish a single parent household on my worst enemy. That's why I am very conservative, and I have been very conservative when it comes down to marriage and family. Some people say I've been too conservative. And some would say that, yeah, Ronald Neal, the reason why you ain't married is because you are extremely conservative when it comes down to that, because you're extremely conservative because you really believe until death do us part. And guess what? I do believe that. Till death do us part. Anyway, guys, I've got 2 hours, man. I've got 2 hours here. Woo, 500 to 1,000. Good God, Passport X. 500. Man, I can't imagine paying a $500 car note, man. God, dog. Man, I can't imagine paying a $500 car note. I haven't paid a car note since 2012, man. That was the last time. So I'm out there, but I mean, y'all get my point, man. I mean, dudes, you gotta think about that stuff, man. You gotta think about that kind of stuff, man. But that's the point of the stream, guys. Men are on strike. Men are on strike. Black men are on strike. There is no crisis. And this is crazy right here. $1,400. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine. I can't. And that's more than my rent. That's more than my rent. There is no crisis, guys. There is none. It's fabricated. As I said, are there problems? Are there real hostilities? We know there are problems. Are there real hostilities in the society in terms of jobs, in terms of education, in terms of upward mobility that men face, especially Black men? We know that there are problems. We know that. No one is minimizing it. No one is denying it. But to say that there is something inherently problematic or wrong with these young guys who no longer want to play a game in a rigged system, to say that there's something wrong with them, it is an abomination. It is wrong. It is completely wrong. You guys are free agents. And there are guys here, I'm going to give a shout out to all you guys in your 30s, all you guys in your 40s, all you guys in your 50s, some of you guys in your 60s. You know what I'm talking about. You guys in various stages in your lives, you put good use. You put your time to good use. You manage things. You managed your life the best way that you could. Were you perfect? No. You guys were not perfect. You were not perfect. You managed your life the best way you could. And you invested in yourself when you were early, and now you're at a higher stage in life and you're reaping the rewards. I'm going to end with this, guys. I was in a grocery store. I was in a grocery store the other day, and I bought some beer along with some other things, and I was going through the self-checkout, and I knew I couldn't check out. I couldn't pay for the beer items because it needed the cashier to approve of the beer items, right? And so this white woman comes up to me. She works at the store and stuff like that, and she pulls out her card and she looks at me and she says, and she sees I got the beer, right? She says, are you 21 and older? Are you 21 and older, right? And then I said, do I look? I said, do I look like I'm, under 21? You know what I mean? And she laughed, right? And she went ahead and swiped it and everything like that. And she was still right there. And she said, she asked me the question. She said, I don't know what made her ask me this question. She said, if you could go back to 21, would you go back to 21? Right? And I looked at her and I said, immediately, I said, no, I wouldn't go back to 21. And she said, why? I said, well, I enjoyed being 21. 21 was cool, but I wouldn't go back to 21 because, to be honest with you, I'm almost 50 years old. I'm almost 50 years old, and I love my life at 50, at being close to 50 years old. And my life was much better at the age of 49 going into 50 than it was when I was 21. In 21, at 21, and in my 20s, I was building and all that kind of stuff. And it was, it was a hard grind and it was difficult, but I would not want to trade places with my 21-year-old self. Okay. And then we start talking about young people and stuff like that. But anyway, the point I want to make about that story, guys, is that, and I told you about my 20s, and I didn't know what was going to happen years later, laid the foundation for where I am right now in life. That's what it did. And people ask me, oh, I know what she asked me. She asked me, did I have any regrets? She asked me, did I have any regrets in my late 40s? Would I go back and change anything? That's what she asked me. Would I go back? She asked me, would I go back? That's the thing. This woman asked me, would I go back and change anything? Would I go back in my 20s and change anything? And I said no. There might have been a few things I would tweak it, but for the most part, I said I have no regrets. I really don't have any major regrets over the decisions that I made when I was in my 20s. Would I want to go back? No, I wouldn't want to go back, but I don't have no regrets about the decisions. Because I was living as a free agent when I was in my 20s. And that's the point, guys. The free agent lifestyle is here. We are in the generation, we are in a new generation of free agents right now. A new generation. Anyway, guys, I'm tired. It's been 2 hours. I didn't plan on being out here this long, man. Hold on, let me read my super chats. Not super chats, but let me read some stuff here. All right. Turmo Cat. Turmo Cat, thank you for the cash app. Turmo Cat. Muhadid, again, thank you for the cash app, my brother. Thank you for the cash app, man. We appreciate all you guys, man. This is the best time to be a young black man. This is a young time. Best time to be a young black man. You're free, brothers. You are free. Use your freedom, you young guys. And you young men, use your freedom responsibly. And watch in time, you'll see the value that comes from it. So I'm out of here, guys. I'm the Mad Professor, man. You guys take care, and I will see you next time around. Peace to you guys.